Evelyn Hart lived in the small American town of Willow Creek, a place where seasons moved slowly and secrets moved even slower. The houses lined the streets with quiet patience, the old trees bent their branches like tired elders, and the wind always carried the smell of memories. Evelyn was 27, with a soft stare that looked like it belonged in another time. Some people said she looked sad even when she smiled. Others said she simply felt things too deeply. She worked at a community library, an old brick building with broken lamps and more dust than visitors. She loved it anyway. Books never judged her. Books never asked her why she was still single, why she stayed in Willow Creek, or why she always looked as if she were waiting for someone who never showed up. Her life was simple, predictable, and quiet, until Harry Cole returned. Harry Cole had once lived in Willow Creek too, but unlike Evelyn, he was the kind of person who ran from quiet places and their memories. He had left as soon as he could, moved to New York, built a name, made money, lost money, made more again. He had the kind of face that looked like it had forgotten how to smile honestly. People said the city hardened him. Some said grief had done it instead. Harry returned because of his father's death, and perhaps because running forever was exhausting. He came back not as the boy who once shared summer secrets with Evelyn, but as a man who trusted almost nothing, not love, not people, not fate. Willow Creek whispered his name before he even arrived. The Cole family was old money, old history, old expectations, and Harry carried all of them like heavy luggage. But Evelyn remembered him differently. She remembered the boy who lent her a pencil in 5th grade when everyone else laughed at her for losing hers. She remembered the teenager who sat with her on the abandoned bridge after her mother died, saying nothing, but staying until dawn. She wondered what time had done to him, and he wondered why her memory hurt more than it should. They met again on a rainy Tuesday. Evelyn was fixing a stack of old newspapers at the library when the door opened. Harry walked in wearing a dark coat, his hair and shoulders wet from the sudden storm outside. He looked like a scene from a movie, handsome but troubled, strong but tired. When Evelyn saw him, her breath caught. When Harry saw her, something in him trembled. "Harry," she whispered. He paused, almost afraid to believe she was real. Evelyn. It could have been a beautiful moment. It could have been a warm embrace, a joyful reunion. But life rarely gave people the reactions they wanted. They stared at each other with the weight of years between them. "You're back," she said, trying to smile. "For a while." "How long?" "I don't know." Silence wrapped around them like cold smoke. He broke eye contact first, and something in her chest wilted quietly. In Willow Creek, every reunion became a story, and every story became a gathering of opinions. People whispered about Harry and Evelyn everywhere, in the grocery store, at bus stops, in online community groups where middle-aged neighbors argued daily about everything. Some said Evelyn wanted Harry's attention because he came from wealth. Some said Harry would never consider her because she was too simple, too quiet, or too attached to this dying town. Some said they were destined. Others said they were foolish. But the loudest voices were never their own. Harry visited the library often after that. Sometimes he came in to read. Sometimes to avoid people. Sometimes, she suspected, simply to see her without admitting it. He was polite but distant, kind but guarded, present but unreachable. Evelyn learned the shape of his sadness, before she remembered the sound of his laughter. One evening, as he stood by the window watching the rain, she walked over. "You can talk to me," she said softly. He didn't turn. "About what?" "About whatever hurts." "It's nothing." "You're lying." He finally looked at her. "You can't tell." "I've always been able to tell," she answered. His jaw tightened, the way it did when he felt something he didn't want to feel. "I don't want to talk," he said. "Then let me just stay here with you." He didn't push her away, but he didn't pull her closer either, and that hurt her more than any sharp word could. Harry was not arrogant in the usual sense. He didn't look down on people. He didn't mock their dreams. But he had a different kind of pride, the kind built from old wounds, broken trust, and a belief that opening up was dangerous. He admired Evelyn's gentle strength, yet he feared what her nearness did to him. She made him remember he had a heart. She made him want things he told himself he could live without. And wanting scared him more than losing ever had. So he stayed close enough to feel her warmth, but far enough to avoid the fire. And she suffered silently. Evelyn, on the other hand, held prejudices of her own, against people like Harry. People who left without goodbye. People who forgot. People who returned only to hurt her again. She told herself he would leave soon. That the distance in his eyes was a warning. That she should protect herself. But every time he walked into the library, the wall she built cracked a little. And every time he looked at her as if he wanted to say something important but swallowed it instead, she felt her heart betray her. She wanted him, even though wanting him felt like walking barefoot on broken glass. One night, the town held a charity dinner. Harry's family had hosted such events for decades. Evelyn was invited because she volunteered with the community's literacy program. She wore a simple blue dress. She looked beautiful, but not the glamorous kind of beautiful people pointed at. She was the quiet kind that made you ache without knowing why. Harry couldn't stop staring, but the crowd noticed that too. People whispered, "Look at her, she thinks she belongs. He wouldn't choose someone like her. She's dreaming too high." Evelyn heard every word. To make things worse, Harry kept his distance during the dinner. Not because he didn't want to be near her, he did, but because he didn't know how to handle his feelings in public. Evelyn mistook his silence for embarrassment. At the end of the night, she confronted him outside, her voice trembling. "Are you ashamed of me?" "What? No. Then why won't you look at me? Why won't you stand beside me?" He opened his mouth, but no words came. She stepped back. "I thought, maybe after all these weeks, maybe you cared." "I do," he said quickly. "More than I should. More than I know how to." "Then why do you act like I'm a burden?" His chest rose and fell sharply. "Because caring hurts. It hurts me too," she said. "But I don't run from it." He looked away. She turned and left before he could explain. And the night swallowed them both. For days, they didn't speak. Harry buried himself in paperwork regarding his father's estate. He looked fine on the outside, but inside he felt like a man walking through ash. Evelyn returned to her routine, helping children find storybooks, helping elders look up medical information, helping young students study. But her voice was softer, and she carried her sadness like a hidden bruise. Both wanted to talk. Neither did. One cold afternoon, Evelyn found an envelope on her front porch. Her name was written in Harry's handwriting, a handwriting she knew since childhood. She held it for minutes before opening it. Inside was a letter, beautiful in its broken honesty. "Evelyn, I am not good with feelings. I am not good with staying. I am not good with needing anyone. I have lost too much in life to believe love stays. But you make me want to try. You remind me of a time when I believed the world could be gentle. I am afraid of losing that feeling. I am afraid of losing you. If I have hurt you, I am sorry. I do not know how to be the man I wish I could be for you. But I want to learn. If you let me, yours, though I do not deserve to be." Harry. Tears slipped down her face. She grabbed her coat and ran. She found him sitting alone near the old bridge, the same bridge where they once sat after her mother died. When he saw her, he stood quickly. "I got your letter," she said simply. "I know," he breathed. "You're scared," she said. "So am I." He nodded. "But love is not about being fearless," she whispered. "It's about choosing someone even when you're afraid." He closed his eyes, as if bracing for something that both hurt and healed. She stepped forward and embraced him. For a moment, he didn't move. Then his arms wrapped around her like he had been waiting years to hold her. Something in him broke, something in her mended, something in the world shifted. The embrace was quiet, soft, powerful, a promise, though no words were spoken. They didn't become perfect lovers overnight. They argued, they misunderstood, they carried old scars that opened easily. Harry struggled with vulnerability. Evelyn struggled with doubt, but they tried. He walked her home at night. She reminded him to eat when he forgot. He fixed her broken library shelf. She brought him warm soup when he looked exhausted. They grew slowly, gently, fearfully, honestly, and for the first time in years, Willow Creek believed in something beautiful. Just when their lives began to settle into quiet hope, Harry received news from New York. His company was falling apart. The board wanted him back immediately. If he didn't return, he would lose everything: his reputation, his career, the last thing he believed he still controlled. He told Evelyn one evening, sitting on her porch under the pale moon. "I have to go back," he said. For how long? I don't know. And if you leave, what happens to us? He didn't answer. That was the moment her heart cracked. Harry, she whispered, don't let fear make your choices for you. Not again. I can't abandon everything I built. You won't be abandoning it, she said softly. You'll be abandoning me. His face crumpled, but he didn't say he would stay. Some pains are too heavy to change overnight. The next morning, Harry packed his suitcase. Before he left town, he stopped by the library one last time. Evelyn was there, placing new books on the shelves. They stared at each other with quiet devastation. He stepped forward, holding her hands with trembling fingers. I love you, he said finally, too late, too painful, too honest. She closed her eyes, tears falling silently. I love you too, she whispered. But love needs choosing. Every day, I will come back, he promised. You said that once before, she replied, her voice soft and broken. He pulled her into a deep embrace, one that felt like goodbye even though he didn't want it to be. And then he left. A year passed. Seasons changed. The town moved on. Evelyn remained in Willow Creek, working at the library, living quietly. She didn't date. She didn't forget. She simply learned to breathe again, one day at a time. Harry threw himself into rebuilding his company. He succeeded. He earned back everything he lost. Except her. He thought of her every night, every morning, every breath in between. Success felt hollow without the person he wanted to share it with. People told him to move on. He didn't listen. He couldn't. On a late autumn evening, when the air tasted like fading hope and fallen leaves, Harry returned to Willow Creek. He walked straight to the library, carrying no suitcase, no pride, only the fear that she no longer needed him. Inside, Evelyn was closing up for the night. She looked older, a little stronger, a little lonelier. When she saw him, her breath broke. Harry, he stepped forward, voice shaking. I'm home. She didn't move. I came back, he continued. For you, only for you. I should have chosen you a long time ago. I know that now. Her eyes filled, but she stayed still. I am not asking for everything, he said. Just a chance. One chance to love you right. She studied him, his regret, his sincerity, his exhaustion, his longing. Finally, she whispered, why now? Because I finally learned that nothing I build matters if I can't share it with you. Tears slipped down her cheeks. Slowly, she walked toward him. He trembled, unsure if she would embrace him or push him away. Then she placed her hand against his face, soft, gentle, trembling. You took a long time, she whispered. I know, he whispered back. She leaned into him, resting her forehead against his, and he wrapped his arms around her, an embrace full of aching love, old pain, and fragile hope. They did not kiss. They did not promise forever. They simply held each other in the quiet library, surrounded by books that knew more about love than either of them ever did. Their future was uncertain. Their hearts were tired. Their love was real, and for once, real was enough. The embrace said everything their words could not. We hurt each other. We found our way back. We may not have forever, but we have this moment. And this moment is ours. Outside, the town lights glowed faintly. Inside, two wounded hearts learned to beat side by side again. Not in triumph, not in tragedy, but in something softer, a bittersweet beginning disguised as an ending.